Welcome to my home. This is kind of weird, right? Because you guys are so used to seeing me like in my motorhome, traveling around, doing adventure and travel videos, and making jewelry to pay for it like out of my motorhome. Well, I actually just bought this house in October, and I've been like fixing it up. But today, with this viral epidemic, everybody's been like, oh, let's go and get some more of this. My top worry was, oh my gosh, I better get some supplies in and get some orders in and make sure that I have all of the supplies that I need to make jewelry before these places close. Otherwise, I won't have any work, because if they're closed for 2 weeks or a month, I won't have any supplies. This is going to be about my top priority things that I need to make jewelry. So you can get jewelry supplies from a lot of different places, but this video isn't about sometimes. This is about who do I go to? Like, oh my gosh, I need stuff right now. Who's my main supplier? Rio Grande. And I've been making jewelry since 2002. I had a jewelry factory with about 27 to 38 employees, about 38 employees during the holidays. And I was shipping about 600 pieces of jewelry a day out of that shop. That's a lot of jewelry. So in other words, owning a factory like that, I've actually casted over 1 million pieces of jewelry. With the factory that large, I've actually I've actually tried a lot of products, and I know what my favorites are, what works for me. So this video is more about what works for me in high-end jewelry production. What did I get? Number one, I need polishing wheels. I don't get the 6-inch wheels because 6-inch wheels are actually too big. So I get, these are just a 1/2 inch wide. I don't get the 1 inch wide ones. These are the 4-inch wheels. 4-inch, 1/2 inch thick, yellow, just your basic wheel. They're pretty cheap. I like the thinner ones because they're easier to get into all the grooves. But my main ones are actually, and I'm going to post all of the actual part numbers for Rio Grande to these products down below. Not because I'm being sponsored by them, but because this is what I personally use. These are the knife edge polishing wheels. I like these. These are my #1 ones that I use because they're super knife edge cut compared to the 1/2 inch. And they'll get into all the little corners. For polishing, I like these woodchuck bristles. These are the 1 row. If I'm gonna brush something, I'm gonna get the 1 row woodchuck ones, just because these get into the places that this can't get into. I don't use these very often, but when I do, this is the one I'm going to use. These are the 7/8 bristle brushes here. So compared to like these bigger 2-inch ones, I actually like these. These get in a lot closer. So if this is too big, I'll use a lot of these, and I go through these a lot. But once again, I try not to brush anything unless I absolutely have to. I also got some of these. So this is the rough cut. And for the rough cut, I actually have, this is Tripoli, brown bar, Tripoli. This is pretty much my go-to. This is what I'm going to use. There's a lot of other ones out there. If I'm going to choose one that I'm going to use, it's going to be Tripoli. Okay, this is an aggressive cut with this rag or this wheel, and it'll just clean it right off. And when I go to polish, I'm going to use one of these. Once again, I do not buy the 6-inch ones. I just think they're too big. I might actually get the 6-inch maybe for some of these, but I really just like the 4-inch ones, just right off the bat. And these are, once again, these are the thin ones. And these are going to be for polishing. I didn't buy any polishing rouge. I got some out there. I'll show you what I do have in inventory. Also, I got some, these are the surgical blades for cutting molds open. I need those because I'm almost out. I got a few more bristle brushes. I got some finger guards here. I don't really wear gloves. when I'm polishing, you know, this is a Mad Max thing. You know, I don't wear respirators when I polish. I don't do anything. But I do have these little finger guards for my finger, and it's really just for my index finger. So when I'm polishing, actually I put it on this one, I hold the piece with this hand, and then I polish with this. That way I'm not like totally taking my skin away. I don't wear full gloves, but I will protect my finger. I also have, I guess I got some of these. These are a little bit bigger bristle brushes too. More centered chucks instead of the wood one. You can just see how big that. I think these are, this might be a 2-inch. Just fine bristle. I like those. I got some blue wheels. These are really good for the bench work. This is for the bench. I also have some pencils for getting in for polishing, and we'll go out to my shop and I'll show you how I use all these. Some more big bristles here, more blue wheels. I have a knife edge and then a flat. I'll use those for inside rings, and just a whole bunch of the pencils. I also got some sandpaper here for my flex shaft. This is actually coarse, and I'll post what I have. They make a coarse and a fine. I really don't use the fine. Fine, because it's annoying. It's not aggressive enough. It takes forever to get them. But these, you can see, these are just the 7/8 sandpaper for your flex shaft. Also, I got one of these gray wheels. This is pretty big, and they only, I mean, just because they're so expensive. Be honest, this thing costs like $72. It lasts a long time. It's kind of like a Scotch-Brite pad for your grinding wheel, and this is what I will use to cut down all of my fine casting, my rough castings. This is what I will use to grind them down. I actually do not like it how it comes in the box, but they don't sell it the way I want it. So I'm going to go out to the shop and show you what I do to fix that problem. Oh, and then I guess I have a box here. This big box here is actually one of my must-haves, and I buy it a lot. This is my main thing that I needed when I ordered. Now this is double boxed because this is 50 pounds of my casting investment, which is like my plaster for mold making. This is the 50-pound box, and you can see this is Ultravest from R&R, Ransom and Randolph. This is the best stuff out there. This is what I use, and I'll do a whole separate video on how to use this later. Let's go out to the shop, and I'm going to show you how I use this stuff. Here's a quick tour of my house for those that have been following me for a while. My house in Florida with a detached shop right here, which I'm turning into my new jewelry studio right there. The van is doing fine. I put a new motor in it. It's good to go. It's running. Welcome to my bench again. There are a few other must-haves in order to make jewelry, which I already have plenty of in stock, which is of course my rubber for making the rubber molds. I have plenty of that. This is my rubber molds right here. I have a ton of those. These are more of a silicone based, and the yellow ones are full out rubber. So I need a lot of that in inventory, so I do have plenty of that in stock. Also, I need injector wax for making the waxes. I have boxes and boxes of this, probably several years supply of that, so I don't need any of that. Also, I do need my polishing rouge I was talking about. I use the red bar. So this is a must-have for me. So what I do is I use the Tripoli for the rough polishing, and then this is the final, the red. Now I know, you're probably like, oh, but Rio Grande and everybody, they say use the green for doing silver and use the red for gold. Since this video is about what I actually use, not what other people tell me to use, the green is crap as far as I'm concerned. I don't use it for anything. I have it. I got a lot of stuff in here. I got Tripoli. I mean, I've got a white diamond and bobbing rouge. I got all kinds of different polishing. I don't use any of it. This is a video of what I actually use. I use the Tripoli, and for the final polish with my soft rags that I just bought, I showed you, I use the red. Done. I was totally out of silver going in, which is why I freaked out. I'm like, oh my gosh, if they close the silver, because you know, a lot of these places are in New York and LA. They could definitely very well be closed right now, as far as I know. I bought a gob load of silver. This is my silver here. I bought about, since this is about reality, I'll do a whole video on what brand of silver I buy and what's best. You know, I've casted all of them. I'll do that later. But I did buy a whole bunch of silver, and the main reason was, obviously I was out, but silver was down $5 an ounce. That's 30% off of what it was 2 weeks ago. $5 less. So I normally buy about $2,000 worth of silver at a time, because I'm just a solo. When I was a big shop, I was buying about $30,000 of silver at a time. I was buying it by the bucket. But I'm solo now. I'm not nearly as big. I don't have 27 employees, so I buy about $2,000 at a time. So there's the brown, which is the coarse, and the blue, which I don't use unless I'm going to go right to the tumblers. This is the fine, that's the coarse. These are the pencils, which you use with this in your Fordham. This is the knif blue wheel, and this rubber wheel, finger guard, 7/8, 2-inch. This is the 1C USA. This is for the final with the red rouge. This is with the tripoli. Here's a couple $1,000 worth of silver. And the gray wheel. Alright, now, why are these things on my must-have, and why do I absolutely have to have them above anything else? This is what I use them for. Number one, the pencil. This is my bench step. I will put my pencil in here. I have a stick out of about 1/4 inch. I use that to clean up the bales right here. I go in here, clean this up, clean these up. Also, for all this filigree, this is like a little peace sign called Peace Prayer. I will use it to go in all of these little edges, do all the inside with them, going around and around. So this is a must-have because I use this on every single piece. Once I'm done with the pencil, I will go to my sandpaper right here. If you put a fresh one on, it's pretty aggressive. And this is a bench step where I will literally take the sandpaper and clean it all up right here. Just going around it, getting to where I can get it. Because I'm going to try to get everything with the sandpaper that I cannot get with this. Because this comes next. If I have to, I will use the blue wheel right here on the mandrel, on my flex shaft. This is really good. I don't use it that often because that's what this gray wheel is for. And these really go fast, you guys. But on an inside of a ring, it's perfect. I can come in here and do this inside of the ring and clean it up. And it's a little bit better. I will use a piece of sandpaper on a barrel sandpaper to go in and do it as well. But these are way too aggressive. So even if I do this first, I'm going to come back with the blue wheel and I'll hit all my rings with this. That's what the blue wheel is for. So those are the two bench things. Now all this other stuff is for over on the polishing wheel. Okay, you guys, this is actually my homemade polishing cabinet that I made out of plexiglass and a real motor, just because I don't like the ones that they sell in the catalogs. Maybe one day I'll show you how to make one. But right now, I'm going to show you how I deal with these Scotch-Brites 3M, but I don't like they're too wide. And what happens is the sides wear out and become super rounded. Yeah, okay, here's an example. This is really wide and they just get all rounded over, which makes it impossible to like get into all these corners. So what I like to do is I like them thinner. I like them a 1/2 inch. So this is what I do to the wheels because they don't sell them in 1/2 inch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it over here. And I'm not going to recommend this because it's freaking dangerous. Okay, I'm going to put it on the wheel, but this is how I do it. Because sometimes manufacturers, they're not the ones who physically make the stuff. And, you know, this would be, it'd be nice, you know, for thicker pieces, but, you know, see, it's really hard to just, you know, jewelry's small. This is a 1-inch thing. It's just too thick. So this is what I do. I have like a drywall putty knife here, and I'm going to cut it in half. I'll be really careful if you're going to do this because, you know, something could go wrong. I've never had anything go wrong before, but this could get out of control and you could take your arm off because these things are a lot of power. So anyways, now in the middle of these is a plastic grommet right in here. So I'm only going to cut down to the rubber grommet. So this is the best way that I like to do it. But be careful, stand back, and make sure that you don't hurt yourself doing it once you get started. You'll know when you hit the rubber grommet because it won't go anymore and it'll just start to burn. Yeah, so I'm there. You can see I'm already there. Okay. And now you can see it's flexible. I could cut all the way into it, but this is just how I do it. Now because this little thing doesn't have any teeth, it's hard for it to get through the plastic. So I will either use it like a handsaw, like this. You can also use, you know, a metal one, or get yourself a full-out Sawzall and cut through the rest with some teeth. That'll go a lot faster. I know, you're thinking, what a pain. Why don't they just make it? Well, they don't, so you're gonna have to make it. And believe me, my employees like it. Here it is, now you have 2 halves, and it'd be a lot easier to sharpen these corners. I use a metal cutting chop saw blade. You know, you can go down to Harbor Freight and get these chop saw blades, and it will sharpen it. So you can sharpen the edge that you just went through. If you have to sharpen it, you can just sharpen them like this. But it's basically a Scotch-Brite pad, so you can take a piece. So here is our piece, actually, now that we're talking about it. And you can see it's a lot easier to get into where you want to get into with it being a 1/2 inch rather than that full 1 inch. Okay. Okay, so there's my trick on, you know, a lot of stuff you have to make in this business because, you know, you're not going to be able to buy everything that you want. You have to make what you need. Okay, so now we have the wood chucks. If I am going to polish with the 7/8, you will need to put it on the small mandrel here, which then goes there. And that, once again, I'm going to use the tripoli bar for that. Actually, on this piece that we were just doing, I actually will use the brush to get into this right there. So I will use that right there on both sides to brush it, because I won't be able to get into it with this because it's too big. So I will brush it. In this one, I will actually use that small one. If I'm going to use the big chuck is really nice. Maybe a bigger piece where I've got 2 different levels. You know, I'll be able to just brush that. It's a lot obviously the bigger the wheel, the faster you can get it done. So I'll use the big one here to brush this. Once the brushing is done, so here's the knife edge versus the 1/2. I will use this. Okay. What's perfect about that is, you see this piece? Look at all this little stuff in here. This knife is actually pretty good. I can pretty almost get in there. I would probably start with the brush, but this is really good for getting into, like, between the arm right here. Look at that. See, that's why I buy this one, because it gets it done. This is my main one, the knife. And that'll polish it with the rouge, and I'll just polish it. And then once that's done with the tripoli, this goes with the tripoli. When that's done, I will use the red with this one that I just bought. And that will be the final. And these are real soft. Obviously you want to like clean it up a little bit. I haven't even really worked that hard, but you can see it's already kind of shiny. Silver, silver, silver. So there you have it, you guys. Those are the things that I absolutely need to make jewelry with. And you know, I really hope that that helps you, because you know, when you first get into this business, you don't know, you know, what do I buy? You know, the catalog is so large and filled with all this stuff that you may or may not need. This is a video on what I actually use on a day-to-day basis that I actually need. All the rest I may not need. I have it, but I probably don't need it. I got a lot of silver here I got to get done, so I'm going to go back to work, and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.